I found my wife in the trunk of my own car. Not kidnapped. Not hurt. She was in there by choice. And she wasn't alone. She was lying back, hair a mess, wrapped around a man wearing less than a necktie. That man? Senator Grant. Yes, that's Senator Alan Grant. The same one who preaches about family values and public morality. They looked comfortable until they saw me. And right behind me, 2 cops, a lawyer, and 3 cameras rolling. She tried to speak. Jack, this isn't what it looks like. I smiled. I know. That's why I planned every second of it. My name's Jack Miller, former Marine. 2 tours, 1 bomb, lost a chunk of hearing and 3 good men to a roadside blast. But the biggest damage? That came years later, wearing high heels and red lipstick. I met Claire at a fundraiser for veterans' mental health. She was confident, sharp, and magnetic as hell. A clinical psychologist who worked with high-profile clients, judges, lobbyists, politicians. She talked like she had a direct line to the truth. And she always spoke like her words were more important than your thoughts. I liked her immediately. We had drinks that night. She told me, "You don't talk like other veterans. You think more." 2 months later, she moved into my house. 6 months in, we got married. I thought I'd found peace. Turns out, I'd invited a hurricane to sleep beside me. Claire wasn't cold. That's not how it went. She was fire. She touched me like she owned me, made every dinner feel like foreplay. She didn't hold back. Ever. She said, "If I'm with you, I'm with you." I believed her, like an idiot. She loved to talk about her clients over wine. Not with names, she was too smart for that. But she loved to drop titles. "Alan Grant came in again today," she said one night, swirling her glass. "He's a mess. Insomnia, panic attacks, intimacy issues." I raised an eyebrow. "You're treating Senator Grant?" She grinned. "What, jealous? I thought you weren't supposed to say names." She winked. "I didn't say his name. You did. That night, she kissed me like she had something to prove. And maybe she did." Claire kept getting bolder. New jewelry? Client gift. Late nights at her private office? Last-minute sessions. A second phone? Professional use. Rachel, my ex-wife, came to pick up our daughter Lily one Saturday. She watched Claire for 10 seconds and said, "She's not the type to cheat quietly. If she's doing it, Jack, she wants you to know." I laughed it off, but the laugh didn't feel real. 2 days later, I found a receipt in Claire's purse. A hotel. Not in her name, but charged to my credit card. Suite 701. That was the night I stopped being a husband and started building a case. After that hotel receipt, I didn't confront her. Not right away. Claire was too slick for that. Confrontation was her playground. She'd twist it, flip it, cry, seduce, whatever got her control back. I knew better than to play defense. So I went quiet, observant, patient. She noticed. "You okay, Jack?" she asked one morning, standing at the counter in a silk robe, sipping her almond milk latte like she was in a movie. "Yeah," I said. "Just tired." She leaned in, kissed my cheek, let her lips linger like a test. "You've been distant. You've been busy," I said. She smiled, not sweet, sharp. "Some of us work with real problems." That one stung, but I let it go. She liked her little digs. Claire didn't hide Senator Grant. If anything, she bragged about him. Not directly, just enough to make sure I noticed. "Alan was in rare form today," she said. "Talked for an hour straight. I think he just likes the sound of my voice." "Isn't he married?" I asked. She shrugged. "Aren't most powerful men?" That's when I knew. She wasn't just cheating. She was proud of it. I called Logan, my attorney. We served in Iraq together. He stayed clean while I dragged my soul through sand and bullets. Now he cleaned up messes in courtrooms. "I'm not asking for divorce," I told him. "Not yet. I'm asking for leverage." He said 5 words. "Tell me what you've got." I told him everything I didn't have. Yet, the next day I hired a surveillance tech. Discreet guy. Ex-cybercrime. He wired her office with a voice-activated recorder the size of a thumb drive and a pinhole cam behind an air vent. It had motion detection, 4K clarity, and enough memory to ruin a career. I wasn't playing for heartbreak. I was playing for checkmate. The footage started trickling in. Most of it was boring. A lot of talking. A few patients crying. Professional Claire. Smart, calculated, compassionate. She played her role well. But then came Grant. No introduction. He just walked in like he owned the place. "Same time next week?" she asked, setting her hand gently on his chest. He grinned. "Unless you're free sooner." He closed the door behind him. I heard her laugh. Low, controlled, too familiar. That was day 1. Day 3 was worse. "You really think he doesn't know?" Grant asked. Claire's voice. "He suspects. But I'm giving him everything he wants, me, attention, stability. He won't move." "You sure?" She laughed again. "Jack's a soldier. He's trained to follow orders. Even mine." I paused the audio. I sat in silence for a long time. It's one thing to be lied to, another to be betrayed. But this was mockery. She didn't just lie. She bet on me staying silent. The worst part? She wasn't wrong. Not yet. But that was about to change. After that recording, something in me snapped. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Focus. I spent the next 2 days doing what I did best back in the service. Planning for impact. No wasted movement. No emotion. Just structure, intel, execution. Claire carried on like everything was normal. She was radiant. Glowing. Dressed sharper. Lipstick darker. She even started leaving the house earlier and coming home later, claiming she had a new intensive trauma client, taking up extra hours. She meant Grant. At dinner, she smiled across the table. "You've been quiet lately." "Just thinking," I said. "About us." "Always." She loved that. Smiled like she'd won something. I slept next to her that night without saying a word. Her breathing was even. Mine wasn't. The next morning, someone knocked on my office door. He was tall, lean, early 30s. Hair cut military short. Dressed in worn denim and a faded jacket. "Jack Miller." "That's me. I'm Marcus." The name didn't ring a bell. "I used to be with Claire," he said. 3 years ago. You came after me." He was right. Back when Claire and I first got serious, she told me about her ex. He was unstable. Controlling. I had to get a restraining order. She said he stalked her for months, that I was her fresh start. But the man standing in front of me wasn't unstable. He looked tired, angry, but not broken. "I found out she's with you now. I figured I owed you a warning." I let him in. We talked for 2 hours. Marcus had been where I was. Hooked, charmed, then stripped down to nothing. He told me how she mirrored everything he loved, played supportive, loyal, then used his passwords, took his money, and moved on while gaslighting him the whole time. "She's smart," he said. "Too smart. But she gets bored." He pulled a folder from his backpack and slid it across my desk. "What's this?" "Call logs. Messages. Emails. Stuff I kept. Back when I thought I'd take her to court. Didn't go through with it. Should've. Maybe then you wouldn't be next." I opened it. There she was. My wife. My partner. Writing to someone named AG 2 years ago. I could use another favor, Senator Winky Face. That wasn't just adultery. That was a pattern. Career. "You want to get her back?" Marcus asked. "I want her out of my life." "Good," he said. "Because I know where she hides things. And I know what kind of man Alan Grant really is." We shook hands. That was the day Marcus and I stopped being strangers and started being brothers. Marcus was good. Better than I expected. He wasn't just another ex-boyfriend with a grudge. He had receipts, timelines, and a mind that worked like mine. Tactical. Detail-driven. Cold when it counted. We met in secret. Coffee shops with bad lighting. The back room of my gym. My office after hours, blinds closed. Every time he brought more. Hotel invoices in Claire's name. Paid with burner cards. A rental agreement for an apartment 2 blocks from her supposed therapy office. Text logs from 2 years ago, showing the beginning of her professional relationship with Senator Grant. "You see this?" Marcus said, tapping a screenshot of a message Claire had sent Grant. "Don't worry, baby. He's still loyal. Trained dogs don't bark." That one burned. But it also made something clear. This wasn't about love or cheating. This was control, power, and she thought she had all of it. So we started building the endgame. I called Logan, told him to move forward with the document package. Full prenup activation, asset lockdown, financial firewall. Claire wouldn't know it, but she was already locked out of the accounts by the end of the day. Then came the next step. "I want a full setup," I told Marcus. "Something she can't explain away." "Like what?" "We bait the trap." Marcus smirked. "You thinking the trunk?" "Not yet. That's the finale." He leaned forward. "Then how do you want to start?" "With a live show." I told Claire I was flying to Chicago for a security expo. 3 nights. She didn't flinch. Just kissed me goodbye with a look that said, "Finally. Space to breathe." I wasn't in Chicago. I was 4 blocks from her office. Marcus helped rig the apartment. Cameras, mics, infrared motion triggers. Everything linked to a private cloud drive with backup redundancy. I parked across the street and waited. At 7:13 p.m., Claire entered the building. She wasn't alone. Senator Grant followed close behind, baseball cap low, sunglasses on. Still tried to look invisible. Still failed. They didn't go to her office. They went to the private apartment. She opened the door. He walked in like he'd been there 100 times. Marcus was beside me in the car. He watched the screen like it was a football game. Inside, Claire poured wine. Grant leaned against the kitchen counter. "I swear, Claire," he said, "you've got this guy wrapped around your little finger." She laughed. Soft, lethal. "He's harmless. Always has been. He thinks he's still in charge." Grant raised his glass. "To loyal husbands." She clinked his. "To useful ones." They moved to the couch. The footage faded to black as they left the camera's frame, but the mic kept going. Breathing, laughter, clothes rustling. Then Claire's voice again. "When this is done, I'll have everything. And he'll have no idea what hit him." Marcus turned to me. "You ready for trunk night?" I didn't answer. I just nodded. Claire was glowing the next morning. Woke up humming. Made pancakes. Even wore a sundress I hadn't seen since our honeymoon. She twirled in the hallway like nothing in the world could touch her. "You're in a good mood," I said, sipping coffee. She kissed my cheek. "You bring out the best in me." That would have hurt if I hadn't heard her say the exact opposite to someone else just 12 hours earlier. "I was thinking," she said, sliding onto my lap like it was some rom-com. "Maybe it's time." "Time for what?" She bit her lip. "A baby." I froze. She smiled like it was the most innocent thing in the world. "Come on, Jack. We've built a life. A future. Don't you want something that's ours?" The timing couldn't have been more obvious. She wanted to anchor me, lock it down, secure her endgame before the house of cards fell. I put my hands on her waist and gave her the same smile she gave me every time she lied. "Let's talk about it." That night I called Logan. "She's planning a pregnancy," I said. He didn't miss a beat. "Contraceptive sabotage? Wouldn't surprise me. We'll need medical records. Proof. Something airtight." "I've got something better," I said. Marcus had a plan. He knew Claire's moves, her habits, her tells. "Watch her eyes when she lies," he told me. "They don't shift. They stare. Like she's daring you to doubt her." We used that. He booked a fake appointment through her office, using an alias. Paid in cash. No record. Showed up posing as a high-strung executive with trauma symptoms and a history of paranoia. Claire bought it instantly. He came out of the session 30 minutes later and handed me a flash drive. "She monologued," he said. "Thought she was impressing me." I plugged it into my laptop and hit play. Her voice came through, clear as a bell. "You know what the trick is?" she was saying. "You give them just enough to feel in control. Then you tighten the leash slowly. They don't even notice. Sounds manipulative, Marcus's voice replied. Claire laughed. It's called survival. You want power? You take it. Nobody gives it to you. Not men. Especially not husbands. Pause. Then mine? Marine. Strong on the outside, soft in the middle. He doesn't even see it coming. That was enough. But she kept going. And when it's all mine, this house, his name, the savings, then we talk family. One baby, one last string. He signs everything over before he even realizes the kid doesn't look like him. The air in my chest turned cold. She said it, out loud, in her own words. That night, she curled into me like we were newlyweds again. I missed you, she whispered. I stared at the ceiling, heart steady, voice calm. I missed you too. But in my head, I was already packing the trunk. Marcus showed up to my office the next morning with 2 coffees and a look I hadn't seen on him before. Something between anger and clarity. She's escalating, he said, handing me the cup. I nodded. She brought up a baby. He shook his head. That's her last move. She knows the clock's ticking. We sat in silence for a moment, watching the footage from the night before loop on screen. Claire, laughing. Claire, toasting. Claire, talking about stringing me along until everything I owned had her name on it. You ever wonder, Marcus said, how many guys like us she's done this to? I looked at him. You think there's more? He tapped the folder again. I don't think. I know. He pulled out names. 4 of them. All professionals. All with similar stories. Whirlwind romance, fast commitment, emotional isolation, financial bleed. None of them fought back, he said. They cut their losses or got buried. Not us. He smiled. Damn right. I never thought I'd bond with another man over being used by the same woman. But somehow, sitting there with Marcus, it felt like I was back on deployment. Not because it was war, but because I finally had someone watching my 6. We set the final plan in motion. Claire had a standing routine every Thursday night. Her late client. That was our window. We gave Logan the go-ahead. He filed the divorce paperwork, triggered the prenup, froze shared accounts, and arranged for police presence, just in case. Trunk night is Friday, I told Marcus. She's gonna use the car again. It's her thing. He raised an eyebrow. You sure? I nodded. She thinks it's a symbol. Power, control. She feels safe in it. All right, he said. Let's make it the last ride. I left the garage door open Friday morning. Told Claire I had an overnight job site visit. Gave her space to feel bold. Confident. She took the bait. At 10:44 p.m., motion alerts went off. Claire entered the garage, wearing a dress I'd never seen. Hair down, lipstick red. Senator Grant followed her in, looking around like a teenager sneaking into his girlfriend's bedroom. She popped the trunk. I've always wanted to try this, she said, laughing. They climbed in. Door shut. I waited 30 seconds, then walked out the front door, holding a remote. The trunk locked with a soft click. Marcus stood beside me. Now what? He asked. Now, I said. We knock. I walked up to the car like I was checking for scratches. Marcus stood behind me, phone already recording. Inside the trunk, voices shifted from playful to panicked. Claire's voice came first. Jack? Jack, is that you? I didn't answer. Grant started banging on the lid. You think this is funny, Miller? Open this damn thing. I leaned in, tapped twice on the metal. Calm, almost gentle. Grant, I said. You ever hear of poetic justice? Silence. Then Claire, Jack, please. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. Didn't you say I was harmless? I asked. Trained? Predictable? A wallet in boots. I didn't mean that, she said quickly. It was just talk. Oh, I know, I said. All just words. Marcus grinned. You ready? I hit a button on my phone. The side wall of the garage lit up. A projector played back footage from the apartment camera. Claire in Grant's lap, laughing, drinking wine. I've got him wrapped around my little finger, her voice echoed. Then another clip. Her session with Marcus. You want power? You take it. I turned up the volume. The sound of her voice filled the garage. He signs everything over before he even realizes the kid doesn't look like him. Grant cursed. Claire started sobbing. This is entrapment. Grant shouted. No, I said. This is exposure. Blue and red lights flooded the driveway. Logan stepped out of the squad car with 2 uniformed officers. Claire's voice cracked from inside the trunk. Jack, please, don't do this. We can talk. We've done enough talking. The cops popped the trunk. Claire sat up first, eyes wide, hair a mess, face drained of everything but panic. Grant followed, red-faced, breathing heavy. The officers didn't touch them, just stood nearby as Logan handed Claire a packet of documents. Divorce, emergency restraining order, and court summons, he said. To who? She asked, stunned. To you, Logan said. You'll need to respond by Monday. Grant tried to step forward. I wouldn't, Logan warned. The senator looked at me, hatred written all over his face. You'll regret this. No, I said. You will. Claire stepped onto the driveway barefoot. The robe she was wearing slipped slightly, exposing the red marks on her shoulder. She looked at me, broken. Finally. Jack. I turned to Marcus. You got the footage backed up? Triple copy, he said. Cloud, USB, and one for the press if they ask. Good. Claire reached for my arm. I stepped back. No more speeches, I said. You gave your last one on camera. Then I walked inside and shut the door. The house was quiet after the storm. Too quiet. I stood in the living room staring at the wedding photo we'd hung near the fireplace. Claire in white, me in dress blues, both smiling like idiots, both pretending we were something we'd never actually been. I took it off the wall and dropped it face down. It didn't even crack. The next morning, Logan called. Grant's team is panicking, he said. They're trying to bury the footage. Too late. They offered you a settlement. I almost laughed. They think this is about money? Everything is about money to people like them. I let that hang for a second. Tell them to keep their blood money, I said. I'm not for sale. Claire, meanwhile, had gone radio silent. No calls, no texts, just silence. Maybe it was fear. Maybe she was waiting for the next move. She wouldn't have to wait long. Marcus sent me a link later that day. It was a blog post, anonymous, titled, The Therapist and the Senator. Inside, transcripts, quotes, screen grabs from the footage, redacted enough to stay legal but damning enough to spark chaos. By the end of the day, 2 local news outlets picked it up. By morning, it was on national feeds. Grant's campaign suspended. His spokesperson quit. Claire's license? Under review. Logan called again. You sure you don't want to press charges? I thought about it. I already did, I said. Just not in court. 3 days later, Rachel stopped by with Lily. Lily ran into the kitchen like she owned the place, laughing, chasing the dog. Rachel leaned against the doorframe and gave me a long look. You did it, she said. I nodded. Almost lost myself doing it. Still here though. I poured her coffee. You think I went too far? Rachel raised an eyebrow. She planned to trap you with a fake kid. You left her in a trunk with her own lies. I'd say that's justice. We clinked mugs. Outside, Lily ran through the yard, sunlight catching in her hair. For the first time in months, the air felt clean. I didn't win, but I wasn't losing anymore. And that was enough. Claire officially vanished from the public eye within a week. The last time I saw her was in a blurry cell phone video on the news. She was leaving a courthouse, flanked by 2 lawyers, head down, sunglasses on. Not a word to reporters. No smile. No performance. Just a ghost in heels. Her professional accounts disappeared. Website scrubbed. Office emptied overnight. I heard through Logan that the licensing board suspended her pending a full ethics review. No appeal allowed during investigation, which meant no clients, no income, no position of power. As for Senator Grant, his collapse was even faster. The footage had done more than catch him with my wife. It raised red flags about campaign funds, backdoor favors, and maybe worse. Investigators came knocking. Endorsements were pulled. And one of his aides filed a complaint about inappropriate pressure during sessions with Claire. The political machine didn't protect him. They ate him alive. Logan and Marcus kept feeding pieces of evidence to the right people, the right channels. Carefully. Strategically. "We're not burying them," Marcus said one night as we sat in my garage with 2 beers and a laptop. "We're just letting them dig their own graves." He was right. And they did. I sat in court a week later. Not criminal court, civil. Claire versus me. She was fighting for part of the house. For half the business. For anything she could scrape off what was left. But the prenup held. And the judge had reviewed the footage. Claire showed up polished. Not a hair out of place. But her voice shook when she spoke. Her lawyer tried to paint her as emotionally vulnerable and taken out of context. Didn't matter. When it was my turn to speak, I stood up and told the truth. Plain. Calm. No drama. "I don't hate her," I said. "But I don't trust her. And she knows why." That was all. The judge ruled in my favor. Claire left the courtroom without looking back. No tears. No apology. Just an ending. That night, Marcus came over with steak and whiskey. "You know what's weird?" he said, flipping the meat on the grill. "I feel lighter. Like something finally got off my chest." "Same. Think we're free." I looked at him. "We're getting there." He nodded, raised his glass. "To the ones who saw through the game." We clinked. And drank. We weren't just survivors anymore. We were brothers. Forged in fire. And no one was ever gonna play us again. A month passed. The house felt different. Lighter. Not just because Claire was gone. But because the weight she carried with her, manipulation, tension, performance, was gone too. I didn't realize how much space someone could take up until they weren't in it anymore. The air didn't feel like I had to earn it. I could breathe again. Marcus and I kept in touch. What started as weekly check-ins turned into something closer to friendship. Real friendship. Not the polite, surface-level kind. He helped me gut the garage one weekend. We tore down every piece of gear Claire had touched. Burned old paperwork. Trashed her files. Got rid of the memories with our own hands. At one point, he held up her favorite chair, the velvet one she used during sessions. He looked at me. "You want to keep this for dramatic effect?" I laughed. "Toss it." It hit the dumpster like a bad dream, landing exactly where it belonged. Rachel stopped by with Lily the following weekend. We grilled burgers, threw a football in the backyard. Lily beat both of us at trivia. Kids sharper than me and Rachel combined. As the sun dipped low, Rachel and I sat on the porch, watching Lily chase fireflies. "She doesn't know everything, does she?" Rachel asked. "No," I said. "She just knows Claire's gone. And I'm better now. That's enough." Silence settled between us, comfortable. "I'm proud of you," she said. I didn't say anything. I just looked out at the yard and breathed in the clean air. A few days later, I got a text from Marcus. "Drinks?" I replied, "Always." We met at the dive bar we found by accident. It became our spot. We didn't talk about Claire much anymore. We didn't need to. What was done. And the best part? We came out of it smarter. Stronger. Not bitter, just sharper. As we raised our glasses, Marcus said, "Never thought I'd get burned, and thank the fire for teaching me something." I laughed. She tried to break us. Instead, she built something better. We clinked again. Later that night, as I locked up the house, I paused by the front door, looked around. Quiet. Safe. Whole. I used to think the worst thing that could happen was being betrayed by someone you love. Now I know it's letting that betrayal define you. She didn't win. Not because I crushed her, but because I healed. That's the real revenge. And I didn't do it alone. I had my brothers, my daughter, and myself, still standing. Still me.